Hello, Green Bay Packer fans. Welcome to another Packer postgame show here. And Amar, I'm starting to think it's me.
Why
Because
you say that?
I told you guys last week. I'm like, hey, like before the game, I'm like, hey, I'm probably not gonna be able to do the postgame show this week. And what did the Packers go out and do? They looked like an actual really good team against against the Rams. And then this week, I thought about like texting you guys again to say like I won't do it just to see if I would affect like the outcome. Um, I don't know. I'm starting to think it's me at this point.
Bro,
but,
it is definitely not you, man. It is definitely not you. I promise that. It is
but yeah, I mean it's a lot of other things. There's a lot of other things going on here. Man, that was a really tough one. That was a really, really tough one. You know, there is a small portion of me that is like, was this the best case scenario for the Green Bay Packers this week?
right.
You know what I mean? Like not getting a win, improving on your draft spot. But the offense actually looked competent. Like this is like the first time I'm trying to like think back. Like this is the first time I feel like the Packers lost a game and I felt good about where the offense was. Like there's been other games where like the defense stepped up, the offense didn't make enough plays, but this is the first time I watched the game and I'm like, Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur, the rest of the offense was not the problem
Yeah,
today.
I can completely agree with you there, man. Like it was one of those things where like I felt like holy crap, like the offense was moving the ball down the field. Yeah, were there some mistakes? Of course. I mean, and that's gonna happen, right, with a young team. It's understandable. But like I was really impressed with the way Jordan played for the most part. There was some bad, the interceptions were not great. One I felt like was really not his fault. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I mean, it was a bad throw. It was a badly thrown ball. Some of the play calling was a little suspect, but overall, we did still have 300 yards of offense.
Yeah.
And like we all knew this season was going to be one of those seasons where we're just going to look for small incremental improvements. And I felt like, you know what, like AJ Dillon has been getting better every single week, and Jordan, like I said, like yeah, hit you like 21 to 40, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. But all in all, you're right. I think that the offense looked hell of a lot more serviceable than it has in the past.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I think really those two picks. I personally I don't put either of those picks on Jordan Love. Um, at least not like 100%. The second one here, the second one to end the game, you're trying to make something happen. It's one play to make something happen. Did he make a mistake targeting the wide receiver? He did. That's up for debate, I feel like.
Look, you read my mind.
And I mean,
I felt the same way, man.
I mean, now look at that. That's the two interceptions. They are both basically in the end zone targeting Christian Watson.
Yep.
Like one time is a coincidence, twice becomes a trend. Like whatever, whatever that is. Like it's like it I don't want to hang so much on Christian Watson, but if you're a second round wide receiver like this, and not even just a second round wide receiver, he's picked like in the second or third pick of the second round, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you can essentially call him like first round adjacent wide receiver
Basically.
at this point.
Yeah. You traded away two second round picks to move up to get him the top of the
Right.
second round. So
Right.
to me, he's a
Exactly.
first round receiver, and he doesn't play like one. And it's funny where I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. Just
No.
Jaden Reed, man. Oh my gosh, like Jaden Reed and Wicks. Like, why are these rookies coming in and playing who I kind of felt Watson should be playing? Like,
Yeah.
just balls
Yeah.
to the wall, just
So
contested catches. Like, I love it.
my whole thing is if your defense against or your defense for Christian Watson is that he's a developmental wide receiver, or and he needs to develop these things to become an NFL wide receiver, whatever. Okay,
Right.
personally, that's fine. I'm comfortable with that. You have to start changing the offense then, where the guys that are playing like NFL wide receivers are getting more targets. They're becoming more of the focal point of the offense.
Right.
Then that's exactly what you said. Is uh, all of any of the stuff that's like all those kind of passes like that are going to Watson in the end zone. They should be going to Dobbs. They should be going to Reed. They should be going to Wicks. They should be going to Musgrave. Like these are guys that have shown they can catch the ball in the NFL. They're guys that have shown they've developed something of a chemistry with Jordan Love. Figure that out. Let Christian Watson develop it and figure it out on the side. With one or two targets a game or a big long shot down the field or something. That's fine. He doesn't need to be a focal point of this offense anymore. And now that's the thing that's becoming kind of the hindrance. And Amar, we kind of talked about this a couple weeks ago, like in those first couple games where Watson came back. Look how disjointed the offense became because it felt like they were forcing things to Christian Watson, where they were out of the rhythm of the offense. They were forcing things to make Christian Watson happen. And I don't think you can do that. I try to think back to, because everyone wants to point to Devontae Adams, that, in the second
2015,
year,
that's where that's why I was going to go, 2015. Same thing.
Right.
Yep.
And yes, that's right. Like he developed, he got through all the things. Packer fans were calling for his head, and he turned out to be great. And I hope that it's the same thing here. But you know what Devontae had? He had NFL wide receivers in front of him. He had Jordy Nelson. He had Randall Cobb. Like he had players in front of him that were taking up the majority of snaps. Like he had guys out there that were playing and had the chemistry with Aaron Rodgers to make that work. He didn't need to be a number one. He was able to get that there himself. Do the same thing for Christian Watson. And if he can't develop without you forcing plays to him or making the offense be his number one, then at that point, I don't want a player like that on my offense. I would be much happier running this offense through Dobbs, through Reed, through Musgrave, Wicks, guys that are playing up to that level. That's where I'm at with Watson.
It's funny you say that because, in 2015, when Jordy tore his ACL, right, and Devontae was also a second-year wide receiver, they definitely were trying to. And then what happened? They went and got James Jones because they needed a veteran player who's actually playing to help kind of bring Adams and Abadaris and Janice along. And I remember that Detroit game where Rodgers literally, he must have given Devontae 20 targets. And he was just no matter how many times he dropped the ball, he just kept throwing it to him, right? Now, Watson is not going to get those kind of targets. He's not going to get fed at a point where he'll kind of work himself into the game and have a 20 target. That's never going to happen with him. And the truth is, I wouldn't want to do it because there's times where he has opportunities, he's just dropping the ball. If your number one thing is receivers to catch a ball, you can't catch normal passes. Why are you going to him in the contested catches situations where you need to score? Because Romeo Dobbs has proven that he can do it. Jaden Reed has proven that he can do it. Devontae Wicks has now scored. He scored one touchdown, right? But even then, contested catch. Those guys, also a second year and two rookies, have shown more ability to be trustworthy in those situations than Christian Watson. I get it. Watson's in a slump, and you could try to play him out of it, but that interception in the end zone, I'm just dude, first you underthrew him, which is, I guess, fine. But again, he's not fighting through the ball. He's I don't know what's going on with the way these guys misjump these balls. They're jumping 10 seconds early or some shit. It's just the most infuriating thing in the world. And even and some of the play calling was suspect too. There's times where the floor was in his bag and he was doing his thing. But that one trick play, I'm what are we doing? Come on. Is this necessary? Do we have to do this right now? like yeah. So Dontavian Wicks had like a really good throw that one time. They basically did the same play that they had done against Denver. They did it
Uh-huh.
again. I'm kind of, like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, bro, like, do you not have other plays, or are you just keeping it so simple because you know these plays are the plays that the players can get right? And I'm at a point now where, you know, both interceptions, he doesn't have those interceptions if he's throwing the ball elsewhere. And I really feel like the four of them just need to like start game planning Reed and Wicks more often. And then Watson just needs to come along as he comes along. And I feel like maybe next year, the third year jump, I can see him really kind of like taking it from there. But until then, you like you said, the offense loses rhythm with mistakes like that. And you're talking about like 5-9 yard hitches that he should be catching, and he's just dropping them. And I'm just like, come on, man! Like we gotta be so much. I mean, this is his second. You know, he's a second-year player. We're in the middle of the second season for him. You got to be making these routine catches because, like I said, I've always said it. You could have easily just stayed at your picks, and you could have had George Pickens, and you could have had Alec Pierce. You didn't have to trade up and get Watson, who, again, Raz beast, physically gifted beast, but almost majority of all scouts said if he could catch the ball, he would be unstoppable first round pick.
Right.
And I don't know. I just see Corey Bradford all over again, who just like, you know, had all the same gifted talents, but couldn't catch a Colt.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly right. And I think you're coming up on, I don't think you're at a point now here, but you're getting close to Musgrave is becoming kind of that threat, that target that you wanted Christian Watson to be.
100%
Not obviously not like the speed, like that's deadly. Christian Watson's speed is what put him into the NFL.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a playmaker that can find a way to stretch defenses and create mismatches and, you know, do the things that you sort of want out of a guy that, you know, opens things up for everybody else, that's becoming Luke Musgrave.
Yep.
Like that throw that I think was it the last drive or the second to last drive?
Second to last drive when he's like over the middle.
Yeah.
And he got open, he caught the ball, and he ran. Like he didn't fall down right away. I was like, all right, let's go.
And he hits him in stride. And it's clear that the defense that the offense, the play call was designed specifically to get the mismatch on Musgrave and to hit him right there. It was a perfectly called play for the guy. And I just, like I said, like I don't think if the drafts are reversed, if this past year's draft happens before 2 years ago, I don't think they draft Christian Watson because I feel I feel like if they had this Luke Musgrave kind of player right now going into last year's draft or going into the draft with Christian Watson in it, they're not taking Christian Watson because they say that's our playmaker. That's the guy that we want to get the mismatch for, you know? And yeah, I think that's about all we need to say about Christian Watson. I think like there's plenty to discuss with him. You know, you can go on and trust me, no shade, but Christian Watson has plenty of his own defenders out on Twitter. In full force after every single game. That much is true.
I respect that. I respect that. Hey, you know, you got your family, you got to take care of them. But, like, you know, what it comes down to is you got to, you know, right is right, wrong is wrong. And, like, when you see something and we keep consistently seeing this now, you can't keep making excuses for him. It just gets to a point where it's like, all right, like, I know he's a smart guy. Like, I've heard him talk. I know he knows the plays. He knows everything. It's just that there's these not mental lapses, it's just like concentration lapses that he's having that's causing these mistakes. And
I don't even know if it's concentration lapse, but it's just like you can't. It almost feels, and I don't know how it feels like he relies too much on his speed to be the game breaking thing, and it's like you're not at North Dakota anymore.
No,
like
you're not running by. You're not running by a lot of people. I'll tell you that right now. Like,
Right, you're
Patrick
not running.
Peterson.
You're not running by a fifth-year grad student with a psych degree. Like you're trying to go up against Patrick Peterson.
Yeah.
Like you've got to go up and fight for the ball,
You
play the
think Patrick
ball.
Peterson forgot? You think he forgot when he was in Minnesota and he ran right by him? He dropped the ball. No, man. I was watching like I was like, no, he's not gonna let you do that again. That's the first thing. Second thing, we saw him. Like I saw him all week on practice. I saw clips of him practicing, and I have to admit, Watson looked the healthiest he's looked all year. Like he looked springy, he looked fast. But again, you see him in a game, he's not running by anybody because the truth is, 4.3 speed. Everybody has 4.3 speed at corners for the most part. You know, unless you're the Packers playing freaking Ladarius Gunther at freaking corner, everybody else has 4.3 speed. And it's like, I'm sorry, like you gotta have a little more nuance to your game than just trying to run past people. I mean, like people say the go 9 route, right? Like that's all you got. Oh man,
And you know what? The really good ones, the ones who really know what to do with it, like Tyreek Hill, Deshaun Jackson. They didn't just blow by people. They understood the best way to run routes, to set guys up, to work into the offense, to use that speed to the best of their ability and create those mismatches. You're not just running by guys anymore now. And yet, like you said, like you just need you've got to develop something else, Christian. Like you've got to develop something else. It would also be another thing if he was contributing elsewhere. If he was like a punt returner or a kick returner. And I'm not saying that I want to see him do that, but if he was at least utilizing that speed at some other point of the game and like contributing that way, okay, I have a little bit more of a leeway on letting you figure things out and whatever. But if your speed is the only thing that you bring to the table right now, and it's being negated by whatever the defenses are doing or whatever you're doing by not going up and contesting balls, then you're not bringing anything at that point. In the chat here, our True North Packer fan asks the question that everybody wants to know. Joe Barry, thoughts?
I was gonna ask you that next. I figured that's where we're gonna transition to. And just tell everybody that I'm not on camera, so I can't see in the chats or anything, so I can't, you guys can't see my reactions as they come across, as I always do find a lot of things that folks say funny. You know what? Joe Barry, man, he has his Joe Barry special, dog. I was like, again, I watched this game with my cousin who's a diehard Steelers fan, Harmon, shout out to Harmon. And like watching Najee and Warren just run all over us. I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. And it was one of those things where, again, he goes in a too high shot. He did play more. Like, he did put more men in the box. I'll give Joe credit for that, okay? But, like, when I'm watching this game, it just seems like the run defense is ugly head, reared its ugly head again. And I know what I kind of want to say is, like, for the last 4 or 5 weeks, people have been like, hey, guys, he's only allowed 15 and a half to 19 points a game. He's shut down the run, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, that's true. But what happened now? You just gave up a 300-yard game to a team that has not had a 300-yard game in a year and a half.
Right.
I'm sorry. I know, they still scored 23 points. And don't even get me started on Josiah Dagora on that freaking extra point, dog. He was like a freaking mime out there. Just playing mirrors or some shit. I don't know what that was, but that wasn't blocking. We will get there. I know we're going to get to that. But when it comes to Joe Barry, man, I've been done with Joe Barry. When it comes to these games and the defense, again, honestly, we lost that game if it wasn't for that OPI call that was a little soft.
Well, and the thing, go back to the defense there too. I think it should also be pointed out because this has been because if we're going to call it out on the other side of the offensive side, we got to call it out defensively here as well. Yep. Because there were a couple times. I mean, probably I would count 3 times. The 3 penalties in that first half were defensive penalties that gave the Steelers an extended drive.
Yep.
To score a touchdown, and not only that, but I can remember at least one time a defensive penalty negated either a sack or a
Yes.
holding call.
Read my mind. Yep.
Twice.
Yeah, it was twice.
Negated a
It was twice for
huge
sure.
play. Right.
Yep.
Like, and that's the first time that, like, really this year, if you watch this game, it used to be the Packers offense drive killing penalties. This time, the Packers defense, in really the only times they gave up touchdowns was because they let the Steelers stay on the field with bad penalties. You know,
Yeah.
I also do think
that was concerning, man. I didn't like that. I was like, you're making stops, you're getting sacks, you're doing like the right things, and then you have to and then don't even get me started on that like pass that Kenny Pickett had that was beat.
Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
And I'm thinking like, dude, like that was a fumble 6, and we got shafted on it, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous, man. Like it was clearly behind him. Like, what are we doing here? You have replay for a reason. Like, what the hell is that, dude? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna try to. I guess it really doesn't matter so much for you because you're not on camera.
Yeah, I'm driving, man. So my bad. But you're gonna show it to folks, right?
I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna show it to folks here, if I can, if it'll let me. Here we go. I mean, this is what I pointed out on Twitter. The camera angle from the sideline.
Yep.
It is behind the entire offensive play. Every offensive player is in front of this camera.
Yep.
The ball is coming directly at the lens. Basic geometry should tell you this is behind the offensive player. To hear Gene Steratore come on national television and say, I don't know about this one. It sure was a toughie. What are you talking about? This is not the Broncos game where you have this weird conjecture of like, well, by the rules, it's it's only possession when his feet touch the ground, and his feet didn't touch the ground. And no. This is get your fucking protractor out. And is it a degree past 180? If the answer is yes, then it's a lateral, you idiot. Like, how does this happen?
I don't understand how the hell you could go back and watch that and still somehow think that, oh yeah, you know what, the ball wasn't behind him. Like, what the hell, man? Like,
and I think,
like, no, dude. Like, come on, man.
Also, like, on top of that, it is a miscarriage of refereeing. The job of refereeing to call that play dead. To immediately whistle it dead. If it's even close like that, like it is a very close play, you let it play out.
Always. Yep. I agree.
You always let it play out. That is I went back to on Twitter, and I was like, I watch Premier League every week. There are plays that are developing where someone they run for 5-6 seconds on a breakaway to goal, and then it's called back because they waited to see how the play developed and called the offsides after they confirmed it was offsides. How does the NFL, as one of the most powerful, rich organizations in the entire world, regardless of America or sports or whatever, this is one of the preeminent entities of our age, and they are still basing things off of 64-year-old retirees. How is this possible?
I still don't understand. I keep saying, like, these guys don't need to quit their day job, because the fact that they have like these other jobs, like, that's what they need to be focusing on, because they really have no freaking clue what they're doing when it comes to refereeing. Like, I was beside myself with this one. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, that is a game-changing play right there, dude. And like, you let everything else, I mean, You gave Keyshawn Nixon an interception.
Yes, that's
And I'm
right
like,
there.
how do you let that like say, okay, that's Packers ball when it clearly wasn't? But then this, you guys don't let it run? Are you kidding me?
Right.
Come on, man.
And the reason they called it an interception, because two reasons. It was close, and because it was a turnover meant that they got to review it automatically. That's exactly the reason they called it an interception, because that meant they knew that meant they get to go to the video booth and look at it themselves. But this one, no, it blow it dead. It's not like there was like some huge scrum where someone could get hurt. It was literally a breakaway touchdown fumble recovery for Rashawn Gary.
Yep.
And I don't want it to come across as if we're blaming that play for the loss.
No.
Because we're not. We're not. You overcome.
There's a lot of things that went wrong. Yeah, I was like,
right. There's a lot of things that went wrong.
Right, and like again, like for everything that went wrong and everything that happened, you still had
a chance.
3 seconds. You had 3 seconds to make a play. And I'm sorry, like when you see them all playing off zone like that and they're rushing 4, I call a screen, man. Get your guy with some blockers in front of him and run it.
And who's tougher? Like, who's tougher?
Yeah.
You know?
Like, let's do it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, why are you trying to run a play like, doing slants or crosses or whatever you're trying? Like, they're going to have it blocked up unless, something happens where, like, you can sneak through. But that's highly unlikely. Like, no, man. Like, man, that was a tough one. That was just like, because the fact that, like, I have a lot of family that are Steelers fans. And there was, like, another heart attack game because of all the up and down, right? And every single one of them was very elusive and very, like, praising of Jordan Love.
Uh-huh.
They were all like, hey, man, Jordan's good. He could be a great quarterback. He picked apart our zone defense. And so I appreciate that. I think he just needs to cut down on some of these mistakes. Like I said, like, when it comes down to it, this team as a whole has a lot of growing to do. And I am definitely seeing that growth, right? But I'm sorry, Joe Barry, people are going to, like, the thing that gets me is that you're going to have these folks that come out, well, if such and such just did their job, if this person played this gap, or if this person did this or that or whatever, I'm just going to be like, yo, man, at the end of the day, we've had a shitty run defense all 3 years. We've had a shitty run defense before Barry got here. And guess what? Until we make some wholesale changes in scheme and personnel, I'm going to keep having a shitty defense after Joe Barry's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. I think at this point we've said it pretty much to the conclusion. We saw really good things out of a very young team, like Dave Anderson mentioned here in the chat. Just a young team. Yes, like totally young team, but a young team. But like this is the first time that I'm like seeing back-to-back weeks of everyone starts to seem like they're on the same page.
I agree. Yeah.
And plays that are getting missed by Jordan Love are due to some of the inaccuracy things that he's always kind of been dealing with, and not guys running wrong routes or some kind of mistake with the offense, of not understanding the offense or whatever. You know what I mean? It felt like this is the first time we saw things start to connect, like that play to Aaron Jones where Love was getting pressured, and he floated it in there on the wheel route, and Jones was this close to breaking it open.
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He had to beat that one guy, and then he tumbled, right? He went forward.
Yeah. And then you look at the huge play to Reed. I think it was on the last drive or the second to last drive, where Love is running around. He's got guys in his face. He literally had someone sitting in his lap, and Love cranks his arm back and chucks that ball and hits Reed for that huge completion.
Yeah, that one was awesome. Like I thought Alex Highsmith was right behind Love. Yeah, I thought he was just gonna grab him and either knock the ball out or drag him down for a sack. And he just stepped up and kind of like jumped into like his offensive lineman and just threw just a shot to Jaden Reed. I'm telling you, Jaden Reed, man, I am just
I mean,
I'm
but
so impressed with him, man.
that play, everyone always like talks about things of like grade the player, not the jersey or something like,
Right.
like when you're looking at the draft, like, you draft the player, not the jersey.
Yeah.
Think about it if you are watching this Packers team and you don't know who the quarterback is, and I told you Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, and that's the play that gets made, and you would say, every Packer fan would say, wow, like that's really great. Like, that's a really great throw. That's an Aaron Rodgers level throw. Like, that's the play that an NFL Hall of Famer like that needs to make. Those are throws that Jordan Love is starting to make now. There are still a lot of things that need to get cleaned up around his game, but like to see him start making plays like that, it's really promising to see. And it just goes back to, again, like, there were so many really good things that we saw out of this team, out of this offense especially. And I think that has to make you feel really good if you're a Packer fan. True North again here saying Dobbs, Ballantyne, and Reed all looked good today. Ballantyne and Valentine both kind of had early on were getting picked on, but I felt like started to pick it up a little bit in the second half, especially.
I was gonna say, like, Corey Ballantyne coming out of college was a really, really good corner. He just needed opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And then Valentine is, he was pretty highly touted coming out too, and them getting their touches, getting their opportunities against two really, really good receivers. Like, Deontay Johnson is very underrated. They have him at like maybe top 10 when it comes to routes run, the way he runs his routes. And then you got Pickens, who's just a dog. Like, Pickens is just a monster. He's not a really big guy, but he plays like he's like Calvin Johnson. That's how he plays. And like I said, we contain them and we contain Pickett. Like, in the fourth quarter, Kenny Pickett has literally taken over games. And for the most part, we were able to kind of, put that out, right? So I was impressed with that. Like, our secondary got the job done. And that's another thing. Like, when it comes to Joe Barry, I as much as I hate him, as much as I don't want to give him credit, I have to still admit that the defense did enough. Again, that's a low bar, but did do enough to allow us to win the game, right? Now, could they have been like, look at the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns defense was getting massacred, and they literally
won a game.
Lamar Jackson. Yeah, they literally won that game for them. Pick six.
Yeah.
They just took it over, right? Like, that's the kind of defense I feel like we should have. And I feel like folks are like thinking that's a high expectation. I'm like, really, no. The amount of money and draft picks we invested in our defense, like, we're not yielding positive results. And it's like, is it the players? Is it the scheme? Is it both? I don't know. But, like, again, TJ Slayton played his ass off. Kenny Clark played pretty good. Lucas Van Ness kind of looked lost there a couple times, but they also had some good hits. Man, the hitting in this game was crazy, man. There was a lot of good. Aaron Jones getting lit the hell up, dude. I was feeling it. Every time he got the ball, I was like, stop running up the middle. Stop it. Like, he's going to die. This is not good. I was like, my man just come back. There's a reason why he doesn't like practice, because he's getting his ass kicked every Sunday. This is crazy. And, this is another game that I felt like got away from the Packers. Another game.
I guess I think they, like I've said before, this defense is doing what you would want it to do if Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback.
Exactly.
Which is hold teams to 20 points. Occasionally you get a turnover. You're usually getting big stops in moments. If you've got an offense like this one, you need this defense to be more. And Jair and a lot of them, like, they've said that they need to play. They need to play it more. They need to play a different style. Like, it just they need to have something change. Either this offense needs to completely, like, kick it into fifth gear and start scoring a lot more points and giving this defense like a chance to play in more advantageous situations, or start doing it yourself. I don't know quite how you do that at week 11. But I guess to wrap it up, I think again, if you are a practical Packer fan, this was a pretty okay day for you. You saw a lot of really good things out of your team. It also, at least in my mind, kind of helps that you got screwed by the referees a little bit because it gives you a little bit of an out of like why they didn't win. And the kind of good thing is they didn't win and help their draft status. Like that's something you need out of a young rebuilding team.
I can't get with you on that. I can't get with you on that one. Everything.
I
fucking draft stats, man. I'm trying to win
I
games,
look
dog.
I look back I look back at that 49ers team that won or went to the Super Bowl back in 2020. And the year before, Jimmy Garoppolo came and they had all these high expectations and he gets hurt. And it basically tanks their season. And what do they get for a reward? They get Joey Bosa to come in. Or is it Nick Bosa?
Nick Bosa. Yeah.
They get a Bosa as their reward for their quarterback getting a season-ending injury. You know,
I mean,
I think of it logically as this, where if I said, if at the end of this year the Packers finish, right now they're 3-6. Let's say they win 2 more games this year. Let's say they go 5-12, right, the rest of the way.
Right.
If I say the reward for, or let's say they don't win a game the rest of this year, which is a high possibility. If I say the reward for that at the end of the year is you get Marvin Harrison Jr. Are you happy? Because that's how I view it. I say if I could have Marvin Harrison Jr. coming in as a rookie with what becomes a veteran pass catching group, and Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love coming into their second year together as starters, that's dangerous, man. That's really dangerous. And that for me, that feels like if that's what it takes to get something like that and be an impact kind of player, man, that's a pretty good reward for losing a few games to the Steelers and the Chiefs. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. I think I feel like I'll cross that bridge when we get to it. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I just want to just see this team keep getting better week by week.
Yeah.
String off some wins. Because the truth is, I am that guy. I am the dumbass that thinks that we can get into the playoffs. So I do. I'm that guy. I'm the stupid ass that's like, hey, we just need to get into that 7th seed, and who knows what happens. We'll play the Niners probably or the Eagles. And I feel like you just never really know anymore, right? And that's really just stupid on my part. And the way you kind of package that up in a way, it's like, well, guess what? Like, are you happy if you have Marvin Harrison Jr.? You damn right I'm happy. Do you think they're going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. there? No, they're going to take a fucking tackle. They're going to take a tackle, or they're going to do something else, something stupid as fuck, and we're going to be like, okay, here we go. Like, yay. Like,
Corey Bojorquez Jr.
Yeah,
Hunter,
we're going to do something dumb, right? And it's going to be probably a good pick. Okay, maybe. I don't know anymore when it comes to this guy, you know what I'm saying? But like, I shouldn't say that because his 2 drafts have been really good. His last 2 drafts have been really good, and I'll give him. I think like if he were to pick that high, I mean, he probably unless he gets like a real good clean bill of health from David Bakhtiari, which is still like a 50-50 thing, right? And I'm sorry,
Right.
I don't want us to have to change our 1 to 5 Bakhtiaris. So yeah, I don't want him going anywhere. I just don't want it. But like the truth is, when we get to that point, I'm out March, like you know what I'm saying, like February, March. Okay, let's see where we're at, and then see who's there. But until then, man, I'm just like, nah, man. I want us to string. I want to get some wins because the truth is, at the end of the day, I just like seeing my team win. That's it.
Yeah.
I just like seeing them win, and no matter how shitty they are, I feel like they always find a way to turn things around eventually. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's too late, and I'm hoping that doesn't happen this year, but it might.
No, totally. And like I said, I don't come out here saying I'm rooting for the Packers to lose.
No, because
I'm with you. I want to see like
you're being realistic. Man, you're being very practical, realistic. I can appreciate that.
And look, man, I grew up in Southwest Ohio, where it was Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh down my throat.
Oh.
I hate
Oh,
everybody
God.
in the AFC North. I hate them. You think I want to go into Pittsburgh and lose to TJ Watt? Hell no. I hate the Steelers. And so yeah, I wanted to see them lose. I wanted to see them lose that game, I wanted to see the Steelers lose. I want to see the Packers win.
Let's be real now. That Pittsburgh defense has taken over games. Those guys, even with the injuries, they have really embarrassed some offenses, right? And guess what? We still did put up 19 points on them. I was like, you know
put
what?
up 19 points. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and no, I was at 19 points. On top of that, too, Jordan Love hit some deep balls that he's been getting so much shit for.
Yeah,
he finally hit some deep balls and really, he improved on that. And I'm just like, dude, that's what I'm looking for. I just need him to let it rip more. He be thinking way too damn much sometimes for me, man.
Yeah,
he's throwing that ball long in 3 seconds. I lose my fucking mind.
Right, he hit the deep balls.
Yep.
He only got sacked one time, which that has to be said. Like, as many times as Rasheed Walker and TJ Watt or Zach Tom got beat on edges, which wasn't often, but it was often enough to notice. They did a great job of picking that up elsewhere, or Jordan Love was able to get the ball away or do whatever so that it didn't end up being the negative play that it could have been. And then also, the running game for the Packers really was non-existent.
Yeah,
this game.
I mean, AJ had some good runs, but yeah,
he had 70 yards, but 40 of it came on one run. You know,
sure,
like it's not like they were gashing them like all day long. And to have a running attack like that not really be like a huge threat for this team, and see the offense still run at a pretty okay cadence is a pretty good sign, because how many times have we seen where the running game doesn't happen? You know, they forget to give it to Aaron Jones, and they forget to give the running game its due. And this offense starts to sputter. They had Jordan Love throwing the ball 40 times today, and they looked like a good offense. That's what you want out of this offense, is that if you need Jordan Love to be the guy to throw the ball around, the offense can still look good. You know?
Yeah. Yep.
And those are the positives. Those are the really positive things. All right. If you stuck around with us this whole time, had a few people jumping into the chat. Appreciate everyone that stopped in. True North, Adrian West, David Henderson, Iowa Joe, I saw back in the chat there a little bit ago. Thank you guys, everyone that commented in the chat. Appreciate you all stopping by. If you are new, you haven't stopped in before, make sure you hit subscribe so you get notified when any of our shows go live here on the Game On Wisconsin YouTube channel. You can follow Game On Wisconsin on all the social media at Game On WI or at Game On at Game On Wisconsin. And you can follow Amar and myself at our Twitter handles right down there in the little bubble. Amar, buddy, it was always good to talk Packers with you, but I think moving forward we might have to figure out a different setup so that I'm not the bad luck charm for this.
I know. I was gonna say we might need to get Todd up in here or something. Change it up next week, bro. I don't know. We're gonna need need all the juju we can get, bro. We're gonna need all the juju we can get next week, dog. Seriously.
But all that aside a little bit, the Packers have the number 6 pick in the NFL draft.
So, here we go.
Appreciate you, Amar. I appreciate everyone.
Appreciate you, man.
Stopping in as always. No matter what the outcome, go Pack, go.
Go Pack, baby.